Hi everyone, and welcome to another postcard of Touch, where we covered episode 51 to 55, with 55 being a recap.
Right. In fact, it's the first of two recaps.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah, because the title says recap one. And so I skipped ahead. I looked at 56, and that was
All
also a
right.
recap, like in full.
Yep.
So no new material anywhere in there.
Right.
So
Right.
we have four episodes this week. And in 2 weeks, when we talk about Touch again, it'll be four episodes again,
Yep.
skipping 56, so 57 to 60.
Yep.
So we're making our way through it.
Yep. So there's not a lot that happening in this four episode, except that we clearly established the four-way love at the moment.
Right, the Love Square.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's nothing happening athletically. Like there's no
Yep.
real baseball going on. But I would argue that these were, I think, episode 54 was a little limp in my opinion,
Yep.
but 51, 2, and 3 I thought were tremendously entertaining. They're some of my favorite episodes of Touch yet,
Oh,
honestly.
really? Wow,
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
I would say that Yuka has grown a lot of me because the way that she, like keep pushing her quest,
Right.
and I really enjoy her like on the scene where she sorry, when she dropped the note, and then we see like she have already like spy, quote unquote, the other members of Messe, and she like accurately point out like all the strength and weakness of each
Right.
players.
It's like her scouting report.
Yep, and
That's how episode 51 opens, right? That's one of the first scenes.
yep,
Yeah, that is really amusing because not Yuka is kind of an antagonist, sort of.
kind of,
Obviously, she's an antagonist in terms of Minami and Tatsuya's developing relationship,
yep, love rival,
and she's she has the potential to get on Tatsuya's nerves and everything. But what I like about that scene, apart from the fact that it's pretty amusing to see like all the reactions of the secondary, they're not even secondary characters, the other members of the baseball team, like they do not matter at all. But they some of them get like a little moment to shine there when they're
yep,
so excited to hear what this cute girl has to say about them.
yep,
So it's a humorous scene, but it also establishes her as like a real smart cookie.
yep,
Like she's not just a cute little pet that hovers around Tatsuya and like makes trouble for him and stuff. She's a smart girl.
yep.
So I like the fact that that scene has kind of two. It accomplishes two things at once.
And not only like she does like extensive research or scout on these players, but she also remember that because she can recite exactly what she wrote.
That's right. She walks up to him, and from
Yeah.
memory, she can remember what she wrote. Yeah. But
That's
I mean, so that's a great scene, but that only begins episode 51. I mean, I think episode 51 is just back to back,
yeah.
like home runs. So it's funny. It's also funny in its irony because at the end of the episode, Popo, the dog,
Yep.
causes Nishimura to be hospitalized in the same room where Nita used to be hospitalized. So because of the dog,
Yep.
both of these guys have been hospitalized. But when Nishimura's hospitalized, the flowers that Minami gave to Nita are are wilting. So the fact that she and Nita have a little bit of a thing going is represented by the flowers, which are in bloom.
Yep.
When Nishimura gets into the room, the flowers are like dying because he has no shot with Minami, and
Yep.
it's the dog that causes both of them to be in the room. Like I just think that's really smart. The whole idea that he's paralleling, or Adachi is paralleling those two characters in that way. And of
Yep.
course, Nishimura is a butt monkey as usual.
Uh,
He is throughout all these episodes, I think.
yeah, well, I actually think that the way that he puts it, Minami for a dead is really outdated now.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, well, he mean no harms.
I guess, yeah. And he doesn't realize that he's got the perfect woman right at his side the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. Hmm.
The manager for his own team.
Yeah, I think they play up that aspect a bit too much.
What do you mean? The fact that she's always like wrangling him to
No,
try
no,
to.
the fact that she's like like she look fat
Oh yeah,
actually.
the fact that she's unattractive by
Yeah.
comparison.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean it. You know, it's a cartoon, so when they design characters, they tend to exaggerate the
Yep.
traits that they really want to communicate. And yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
She's got fat cheeks and fat lips, and she's overweight. But you know what? She gets the guy in the end, and that's
Yeah.
not a
Well.
spoiler. It's not a spoiler
All
because
right.
in Mix,
Yeah.
after the time skip, when Nishimura is the coach of the rival team, you see his wife,
Oh.
and she's the wife.
All right. I don't remember, but well, good on him.
Yeah,
He
I
picked.
mean it's not even a big spoiler regardless because it's not like he was going to get with Minami.
Yep.
That was that would not happen in 100 years.
Yep.
Um,
Uh. Yeah. And we get a lot more scene from Minami and Nita, and a lot more conversation between them.
yeah.
All right, the one, yeah, the one that I really like the most is the one that he's saying Minami as Tatsuya girlfriend, and Minami just doesn't deny it.
hmm
I love
Yeah,
the
and
whole
then he points
conversation.
that out. Yeah,
Yep.
it's interesting. It's interesting. Like that's a kind of a classic rom
Yep.
com sort of thing. Is like,
That's right.
oh, you're that guy's girlfriend, huh? And you know you'll be like waiting on the edge of your seat to see what her response is. Like, oh, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna deny it or not?
Yep.
So she doesn't deny it, but
Yeah,
then
Minami is so cool about that. I
yeah,
love that.
and then you really run the if you push that too far, that sort of dialogue, you run the risk of coming across as like really hammy.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, so when Nita said, "Oh, you didn't deny it," I was like, "All right, now you're pushing it a little bit. You can't just be pursuing this line of inquiry
Yep.
constantly." But
Yep.
the conversation that they have afterwards, when he prompts her that way, is also very revealing about her relationship with Tatsuya.
Yep.
So it
Yep.
works
Yep.
surprisingly. Another reason why I liked episode 51 a lot. I thought it was not only very funny, but also very the relationship between Minami and Nita and what that said about her relationship to Tatsuya. I thought there was a lot of good work being done there.
Yep.
Plus,
And
the surprise of Minami hiding in Nita's hospital room,
yep.
like when
Yep.
Tatsuya comes to visit, and
Yep.
then he leaves. Minami comes out from behind the curtain.
Yep.
That's a bit of a like oh crap sort of
Yeah.
moment.
Yep.
Like what? How serious is this thing between these two?
Yep.
And it's not as serious as you may fear, or however you feel about it. But
Yep.
that's an interesting little bit of little twist that they put in that scene.
Yep. And there also Yuka, who like really push on to Tatsuya now.
Yeah,
That's
all
it.
throughout these episodes. Yes.
Yeah, that she wanted to be she wanted him to be a mentor now. And despite that, I think that Yuka is have her academic ability is better than Tatsuya, because he because she asked, I think she had something from Tatsuya and he answered it wrong, and then she just give the correct answer. She said like keep just straight, Tatsuya.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was English. They were talking
Yep.
about
Yep.
English, like conjugating verbs or something. He's like barely interested, and he gives the wrong answer, and she's like, "Don't you mean this?" And he goes, "Huh? Oh yeah, sure." Yeah, it's clear like immediately that she's not doing this for the grades because she
Yep.
doesn't need the help.
Yep.
But it does the fact that she's hanging around him all the time and at his house all the time
Yep.
gives rise to a really amusing scene where she's at his house and his parents are there and they're all sitting around the table. Can't remember if they're eating or not. And she pops the question, do you I want can you be my tutor? I'm trying to get
Yep.
into Meisei. And Tatsuya is like kind of ambivalent. He's like, I don't think you really want my help. Can't you just find somebody else? And his dad like
Yep.
slams the the table with his fist and says, "You should do it!" Like he's
Yep.
he's like screaming at his
Yep.
son to be a tutor for this cute young girl.
Yep.
It's so
Yep.
amusing to me. Like I busted up laughing because the dad is so childish
Yep.
in that moment.
Like
And like
both of them
his
in
son is kind of acting like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do it. And the dad's like, are you
no way.
insane?
Yep. Yeah, I love all this.
I thought that was hysterical.
And even like you can see she really cheeky, like normally she would like in her high horse with like others other boys, but when it comes to like getting a favor from the parents, she acted really proper.
Right. Yeah, she would get down on her knees and like do a little bow to Tatsuya and say "Yoroshiku onegaishimasu"
Oh God. Yep.
in her like most cloying voice. Uh, Boy, that was kind of embarrassing when I did that just now.
Yep. Yep. Nevertheless, I would say that Minami and Nita is more revealing on their relationship. It's
Oh,
more,
don't you mean
like
chemistry?
yeah, chemistry. Yes, it's more like open up to each other
Yeah.
rather.
Oh, they definitely their conversations are really interesting.
Yep.
Because you know the general direction that it's going to go, and like he's interested in her. And there's a great line in one of these episodes. I can't remember which one it is, where he's talking about like blood relationships.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And
Yep.
what he's actually referring to is himself and Yuka, and that they both, even when they're in a situation they're pursuing a goal that looks completely unrealistic or unattainable, they both go for it anyway.
Yep.
It's obviously it when he says it in that context to Minami, she doesn't quite understand what he's saying, so it's very
Yep.
subtle.
Hmm.
Obviously, to us as the audience, we understand immediately what he means
Yep.
because we're watching the Tatsuya and Yuka plot unfold at the same time.
That's right.
But Nito's a smooth customer, man. He
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
he knows how to signal his interest in
Yep.
Minami without stepping over any sort of line that she'll be uncomfortable with. He's
That's
playing the
exactly.
long game.
Yep.
You got to take notes watching this guy work. He's pretty good.
Yep. Even he like know how to retreat. When they meet up at the hamburger store,
Right.
and he just like I remember he signaling to Yuka to like, all right, it's now time to back off. You go
Right.
with me.
Right. Yeah, that's in episode 53 at the start because episode 52 is where they're at each other's houses, I think.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And they eat with each other's families.
Dinners.
Right. Yes. And then they meet up at the hamburger, the burger place at the start of episode 53, and it gives rise to the sort of tension and the jealousy between Tatsuya and Minami because they both understand what the
Oh.
Akio siblings, Nita and Yuka, want from
Yep.
each of them,
Oh.
and they, what's up?
Yeah. You finish this, and then I gotta say say my
Okay.
piece. Yep.
It gives rise to some tension and some jealousy there. But one thing I really appreciate about episode 53 is that by the time you get to the end of the episode, it's not going to carry over and like pollute
Yep.
future episodes.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of rom-com anime that I think are pretty formulaic and repetitive, especially ones from around this time period when they ran for like many episodes, like 50 or 100,
Yep.
and there would be misunderstandings and jealousy that would stretch on forever. But at the end of episode 53, what's really cool is there is a mirror of the conversation that they have in episode 42. In episode 42, Minami says to Tatsuya, if you ever find a girl
Yep.
that that I can't measure up to, I'll give you my blessing. Then in
Yep.
episode 53, to resolve this tension between the two of them that's arisen because of Yuka and Nita, he responds the same way.
Yep.
He says, if there's a guy who I can't beat, obviously he's talking about Nita. He uses the word beat because they're going to
Yep.
compete in baseball. He says, then that's fine. You go after him and I won't say a word.
And she respond directly that so you think you can beat Nita?
Yeah. Yeah. I really love, I mean, they obviously, the two of them are very afraid
Hmm.
to make their real feelings known to each other. They're afraid of rejection the same way that,
Hmm.
everybody else is.
Yep.
At the same time, though, they're so familiar with one another, having grown up next door to each other and being, each other's best friends,
Hmm.
that they can be direct, like very direct, up to a point. So she can say, like, I know you're talking about Nita.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think you can beat him. She's like posing a challenge to him.
Yep.
Now she can't say to him, I love you, let's make out. There wouldn't be a show anymore if they did that. And she probably doesn't feel comfortable doing that sort of thing because like Kazuya's death too has left both of them pretty raw
Yep.
emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really like their relationship. It's really refreshing
Yep.
that they're able to talk so directly to one another, up to a line that they know they don't want to cross. They know they probably shouldn't cross.
Yep.
I like watching the two of them talk and work out their issues and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I really enjoyed the scene where when Tatsuya and Miyami they were jealous of each other and they couldn't talk to each other. They wouldn't want to talk to each other. So they tell Kotaro to walk home together.
Yeah.
And then Kotaro does the best thing that the
Yeah.
best friend would do. She runs away.
Oh, I forgot something.
Yeah, I forgot something. You two go along. You two go ahead. Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
He's
And
Kotaro's no dummy. He knows when to get out of there and cut his losses.
oh my, I was thinking to myself that what's a best friend that he is. Like he instead of staying there and try to mend their relationship, he just run away.
Oh yeah, well I mean he knows that's impossible. He can't do that.
One other scene that I really enjoy is when Minami get into Nita house and she see on the trophy. And Nita remarked that it's the same look at Tatsuya. And
Right.
I, yeah, it just struck me that, like that is their, childhood dream all along, like get into the quotient.
Right.
And
Well, it was hers and Kazuya's, and now Tatsuya has inherited it.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And but they have the same serious look, like this is, like the goal here. The goal is just right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it actually is really good that Anita pointed that out because yeah, they basically have the same goal at the moment.
Yeah,
I
and he
love that.
even says the same thing to both of them. And
Yep,
previously, when he saw Tatsuya looking at those trophies and plaques,
yep,
he said, I thought I would never be able to play against Kazuya again, but now you can
yep,
surpass him.
yep.
And we I think we talked last time we did a touchcast about how Tatsuya would feel about that sort of comparison, like whether he
That's
would
right.
be resentful or whether he would be inspired or
Yep,
how, and it was probably a mix of both.
yep,
But so Nita says the same thing to
hmm,
Minami, which
yep,
only increases the similarity between those two scenes, and
yep,
increases like the similarity in the way that Tatsuya and Minami both think about the Koshien and about Kazuya's dream being passed on to his twin brother.
yep.
It also paints Nita as a very direct character. We were just talking about how direct Minami and Tatsuya are. Well, not really Tatsuya, but how direct Minami is capable of being sometimes.
Yep. Hmm.
Nita is the same way, which kind of makes them a good match. I
Hmm.
think that's part of what makes the Minami and Nita scene so interesting is that they seem to be very compatible.
Yep.
And she is enjoying, I mean, I said this a couple weeks ago as well, but she's enjoying, being in the company of a really good looking and good natured guy.
Hmm.
Who wouldn't?
Yep.
So I don't know if I would say that she's being like tempted or
Yep.
anything, but she likes getting attention from Nita, and she probably likes him a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I would say because she enjoy her time with Nita and
yeah,
yeah, and I definitely see that the romantic tension between them.
yeah. I think that's interesting. I think I was talking about the show being refreshing. I think what adds to that sense of refreshment, I guess, is the fact that Nita, like you talk about the love square, the relationships between all the characters are so different. Nita's relationship with Minami is like the opposite of Tatsuya's with Yuka, it's very it's it's amicable, whereas Tatsuya and Yuka's relationship is adversarial.
Mm,
And yet, there's a great similarity between the two in what Nita says about the him and his sister and the blood relationship that they have the same personality deep down, that they'll go for something even if they don't think they can get it.
yep, yep,
So they both have that same motivation, but the way it's expressed is very different because Minami and
hmm,
Tatsuya are different, and
yep.
because Nita and Yuka are very different.
That's
So
right.
there's just all sorts of character work being done, even when the show's being ridiculous
Yep,
or sweet or whatever it's doing.
yep,
Characters are just, it's I've man, it must be really like the simpler that a show seems,
yep.
the more the more difficult it must be to write
Yeah, that's
and have
right.
it turn out any good. I mean, like you
Yep,
could write a really simple script and have it be a piece of shit, and that's the easiest thing in the world to do.
yep.
But to write a really simple script that you can look at a whole bunch of different ways and feel a whole bunch of different ways about the characters and observe how they work differently in different scenarios. That's got to be really difficult, even if the plot is as simple as two people go over to two other people's houses and eat dinner with their families.
That's right.
Man, it's difficult to contemplate because I haven't done any serious writing in a long time. Like,
Yep.
you know, I've
Hmm.
written like blog entries and stuff, and a couple of those have been pretty serious. Like when I wrote about Heike Monogatari, I was researching and trying to write like kind of poetically, and
Yep.
that was really difficult. But I haven't done any like any creative narrative writing for a long time.
Hmm.
So, but I've done a little, like enough that I recognize that the talent, or the skill that's on display here.
Hmm.
It's enough to make a guy jealous.
Yep. 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 Oh my boy. What the event unfold in episode 54?
That was the one that I described it as kind of limp
Yep. Yep. Yep.
earlier. What happens in 54?
Okay, try to
I
remember.
think Nishimura is pretty heavily involved in this one. Like he wants to take Minami out to a movie or something.
All right. Yep.
And there's
Yep.
a lot of scenes set at Southwind, the cafe, where like
Yep.
Tatsuya will get there and Minami won't be there, so he'll leave, and then Minami will come in and be like, "Where's so and so?" And then she'll leave. Nishimura will come in, Minami won't be there. I
Yep.
was reminded of Scooby Doo when I
Yep.
was watching that
And
episode. Like people keep coming into the room at the wrong time
yep. And
and missing each other.
they it's Tatsuya and Minami wanted to meet at the in front of the theater, movie theater. And
Excuse me. Yeah,
that's right. And then Tatsuya just see the farewell one of
the
the
sending off party, right?
yeah, sending up party, yeah. So he attended as well.
Some water went down the wrong pipe. Yeah, and he gets in because one of his friends, those
Gave
two
him the
friends
ticket.
who he used to use the binoculars on the roof of the school.
Hmm.
They show up in this episode because they need to give him a ticket so he can get into that event.
Yep.
And then he has a conversation with Nita, and I can't really remember what
Yeah,
that conversation was about.
just something along that. I think it's something just something superficial that I'm just happen to be here, so I just come here to have a look. Nothing really that serious.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I have a hard time describing any of the conversations in the show as superficial because
Yep.
there's always something that the characters are driving at, something unsaid
Yep.
going on beneath the surface. Even if it's as simple as guy likes girl.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't remember the details of that conversation, so it can't have been anything like new, I guess, that we learned about their
Yep.
characters. I have a fuzzier recollection of episode 54 than the others, which is interesting because I watched that one the most recently, and
Yeah.
yet I have the poorest memory of it, or the least clear memory of it.
I also just watched very recently, but I just remember one fact that Yuka wearing the new uniform uh, to give some present
Yeah,
or
she goes
something
up on
to.
stage to give her brother a
Yep.
bouquet of roses or something, right?
Yeah, the
And
rose, yes.
she's wearing the new uniform, and he makes a comment to her about it. I can't remember if he says that on stage or later.
Yeah,
Um,
on stage.
yeah, so he must have done it like under his breath,
Yep.
away from the microphone if there was one.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, That's interesting. It's interesting to see his reaction to like the way that she's going after Tatsuya.
Yep.
Whenever she makes a comment about like, oh, she's going to be a spy for him, he kind of like smiles at her knowingly, like brushing her off a little bit because he knows his sister. Obviously,
Yep.
they're so close in age; they've grown up together their whole
Yep.
lives. But the uniform thing in particular, like, kind of irritates him, you know. So it's interest like Nita's such a cool customer. It's interesting to see that's like a little bit of protectiveness come out of
Uh,
him. Like, what
yeah.
do you you're putting on the uniform now? Come on,
Yeah.
can't you just be a little more subtle about it, please?
But blame the Sumatec for not having any girls attending.
Right. Yeah. It's not a co-ed school. How convenient for the plot.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. All right.
Yeah, Yuka's going to become, and I think, I mean, the reason that we have this recap episode in 55 and in 56 is because, do you remember episode 20 something was like the end of the first act?
Yep. Yep. And we
Episode
had the
26 or
recap as well.
27, something
Yep.
like that.
Uh-huh.
And now we've gone almost exactly double that time. And
Right.
I think we, at this point, maybe at the end of episode 56 or something, we hit the end of act two.
And so something new gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking that Messi need a good hitter, a cleanup hitter. So
Like a new
hope
character. I see. Could
hopefully
be.
they get someone who pretty good because if they rely on Tatsuya and alone,
Well,
uh
Kotaro too,
Kotaro, yeah,
the sloppy cleanup hitter,
yeah,
as Yuka called him in her scouting report.
yep. So I would think that there might be some addition in the future for the
Yeah. Well,
team.
they're still in their second year of high school, so
They
we haven't
they
gotten to year three yet, right?
they get into the third year now.
They
I think
have?
I think it's the start of the third year now. Yeah,
Really? Did that happen
yep,
in these episodes?
54 I think. Because I remember there is a last day at school at the second year where Tatsuya waiting for Minami to come home. I think that in the I think episode 51 or 52. And now they start school again. I remember
Okay.
that.
So have we seen Yuka at Mese yet as a student?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, because she show up with her new uniform, so I think it's gonna happen pretty soon.
Yeah, that's
I
what I
don't think
mean. It's
I
going to
don't think
happen
it's
soon.
officially start yet, but
Yeah. Well, Nita is for a Japanese viewer, it would be obvious because they understand how their school year works obviously a lot better than I do.
but we don't.
But Nita is also leaving for the Koshien, which is some sort of invitational
Right,
tournament.
right, right, right.
So
So
this
I
is
think it's like the spring break or the golden week break or something.
yeah. I don't think the school year's actually started yet.
Yep, yep,
That's
yep,
what I mean. Like this
yep.
isn't the spring Koshien that they're going off to. It's something else. So
It's
I don't.
very interesting. Like at your school, like uh, what month did you start the whole school year
In America,
in
it's
America?
either late August or early September. So
I
fall.
Yeah, I wonder why.
What do you mean?
I wonder why they picked that time as
America
the
or
start. Yeah,
Japan?
America, America.
I
It is
think
it the
I think
same
it
in
has to do
Vietnam
with farming.
farming.
Because they wanted summer break to coincide with when, like, the summer. They wanted
Right,
the big break. They wanted 9 months of school, and then the 3 years off. The vacation had to happen during the summer when kids would help their parents work on the farms.
right. Hmm. That
Because
interesting.
America for a long time was, and I mean it still is, big, huge stretches of America are primarily like agrarian.
Yep,
There's
yep,
farms that stretch for like dozens and dozens of miles, and
right.
like states that are kind of in the middle
Yep,
of the country. On the coasts, it's more urban, but there's still tons of farms and stuff like
yep,
that in the
yep.
middle of America.
Because the Vietnamese system is the same, so we start at the beginning of September, but in Australia we start in February, start of the year, and end in December, which I think make a lot of sense.
Well, it would be the same, wouldn't it? Because for you, December is summer.
That's right. Actually, that's right.
It's the same logic, I think. They want the
Huh.
kids like you know
Yep.
it doesn't matter so much anymore, I
Yep.
guess. But
Hmm.
when the system was implemented hundreds of years ago,
Yep.
they wanted the kids to be out of school when it was time for them to help their parents. I don't know, like pick corn or
Yep.
bale hay or whatever,
All right.
take care of the cows.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. So yeah, I think this is specifically the end of the year for Messi and the school in
Oh
touch.
yeah, we're talking about touch. I forgot.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe it would take like a holiday or something, and then we start to the new school year.
Yeah, it's going to start soon. And the reason that I brought that up in the first place, or that you did, I can't even remember at this point,
Yep.
is because you mentioned that they might get like a new hitter. They need a really good hitter.
Right. Right. Right.
The start of a third school year would be the perfect opportunity to introduce that sort of character.
That's right. That's right.
So
Waiting for
we
that,
may see that happen when we get to the third act.
and maybe we get a chance to see Yoshida again. I don't know. We will see.
Well, you already know we're going to see him eventually. I
Yeah,
won't say
but
when
I
that
don't know
happens.
when. Yeah.
Still thinking about Yoshida, huh? I already
Yeah.
forgot him, honestly.
He's a big rival. What do you...
I think Nita is probably the big rival.
Yep. Yep.
He's a little rival.
Yeah.
He's a little twerp.
Alrighty. So yep. So next time we're gonna cover four episodes of Touch from
Right.
56 to 60. Sorry,
Yeah,
it's
I get
57 to
that'll end
60.
up being 4 episodes. Yeah, because of the
Yep.
recap. Take us all the way up to 60, and then we'll be 60% done with this
Right.
101 episode anime. How
Oh,
long? When did we? When was the first episode of Touch? Like our first time talking about it? Was it?
um,
Obviously, it was last year.
uh, I would say like June or July last year. Wow,
That's a
six
long time
months.
ago.
Yep.
Oh boy. Well, we've been doing good recently, so we'll get through it eventually.
Yep. Alrighty. So see you next time in March.
All right. See you next time. And we're back. Another installment of the Touchcast. I think this one's going to be stapled onto the previous one. So we'll have episodes 51 to 60 all together. This time
Yep.
we're going to be talking about episodes 57 through 60. 56 is a recap. So we're
Yep.
jumping into, I guess, year three. We already, I think, got a preview of their third year, their final year of high school
Yep.
previously, but now we're like fully into it. There's talk about new recruits joining the baseball and gymnastics teams. Yuka is a student finally, and she's found herself in the manager position. She's getting accustomed to her new responsibilities. So we are in year three now. And beyond all that, the way you know for sure that we've entered the third year of high school is that we have a new theme song
Yep.
for the
That's right.
series. And I have to bemoan the loss of the previous one, even though it had those really goofy, like kind of freeze frames where you saw all the previous frames like blurred on
Yep.
top.
Yep.
That's not really a great visual effect, but the song was just killer. Whereas this song, a little bit less pleasing to my ears.
I don't have any problem with this song. I agree that it's not as catchy as the previous one, but it's still doing all right.
I don't really.
Yep.
The weird vocalization where she's like che 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 ha do no naiteru no. It's what she
Well,
keeps saying
that's
che che is it's just so strange. I don't like it.
that's all right to me. Even the visual look all right as well with Nanami.
Nanami. Man, it has been a long time since we've done one of these.
Minami. I would know where's Nanami come from.
I don't know. We were just talking about like Boogie Pop Phantom. That show has 50 characters, so maybe one of them was named Nanami.
Yep, with Minami dancing. I
Right. She's in a bunch of cute outfits.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
in this one. But the at the end where the singer's saying hayaku hayaku hurry hurry, and it's the
Yep.
same zoom out shot of Minami in that gymnastics pose like 4 times. They repeat that shot 4 times. Man, I missed the old theme song already.
Alrighty, but I wouldn't have expected it. That is the new coach, not a new
Right.
member. That's a
Yeah,
yep,
that's the biggest development of these episodes is that we have Coach Kashiwaba
yep, and he
replacing Coach Nishio, who falls ill.
yep, and he kind of overwhelming everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, he's completely overwhelming.
Destroyed. Yep,
Yeah, he's physically abusive to his students.
yep,
That's very hard for me to stomach.
yep.
Honestly, this is my second time watching Touch. The first time that he showed up and this storyline began, I was like, "Oh man,
It's
I don't know about
25.
this. Like, this is really difficult for me to sit through." He's
Yeah, it's 25 years the past, and even like with the manga material, it would be like 30 years before. So
right.
kind of, I think it's kind of acceptable at the time,
Well,
but now
I wouldn't say that it's acceptable. But I mean, it's certainly not what he's doing, like beating somebody up, because his first
he
appearance,
did.
yeah, he
He,
beats someone up. Tatsuya. He
yep,
beats him up in the locker room. Like he later in the because that's kind of the cliffhanger at the end of episode 57. Like a fist is flying towards Tatsuya, and I think he gets hit once, and then Tatsuya's like, "What's going on?" And then cut to credits. Episode 58, he beats him up real good, and then when Minami finishes with gymnastics practice and comes over to the baseball field, she asks what happened, and he says, "4 to the face, 3 to the body."
yep,
So he got him. Like Kashiwaba wailed on him,
yep.
and there's like pretty much nothing redeeming about the guy except for the fact that this cute little dog follows him around. So I kind of resent the fact that this dog follows him around because it's like a wink from the author that, oh, this guy, he's got a heart of gold somewhere down inside. That's why this dog is following him around.
Yep.
Like
He even drink while he at work at school, even.
right. Yeah, he sends Yuka to go get him beer and cigarettes.
Jesus guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, to his defense, though, he actually didn't ask Minami to be out of the club. She just told her to be focused on one thing.
Yeah, it's true that he doesn't say the words like you're fired or don't come back or
Yeah,
anything like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he makes it clear that she's not welcome.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just not only from what he says to her about we don't need people who are distracted or not giving their all,
yeah,
but just his general attitude, as well as the
yeah.
fact that he beat up her her quote unquote boyfriend. Um,
He doesn't know that.
Yeah, well, he doesn't, but he does resent the fact that like when there are women around, they see like all the guys seem to be distracted. He seems to have like he has an issue
Yep,
with guys like losing their focus
yep.
when there's like a cute female manager around. I don't know if that dates back to his own experience as a baseball player because he did used to play for Meisei,
Yep.
according to Coach Nishio
Yep.
10 years ago. And even Tatsuya's dad at one point in one of these episodes, I think it's the episode where Yuka comes over for dinner, maybe episode
Mm-hmm.
59.
Yep.
Tatsuya's dad says, "Oh yeah, I remember Akashiwaba. He was a pitcher and he was a coach of the team and
No, he
then
was a captain, I think. He was a
oh
captain at the
yes, I'm
time.
sorry. I said coach. What I meant was captain. He's the coach now,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah, and so man,
I would definitely say that we will know the backstory of him real soon, and we will know like a different side of him later on. But for now, I can't really. Yes. Yeah. What was his backstory and
well, what
how
happened to
he
him in the 10 years since he graduated?
That's right. That as well.
Yeah, that's the big question, I think, because Coach Nishio has nothing but good things to say about him. Like he's a great leader and he loves baseball and
Yeah.
all this stuff. He's clear
Gentle.
something has clearly happened to him
Yep.
to make him turn out this way.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I do take some comfort in the fact that Tatsuya multiple times has like been on the verge of fighting back and like
Yep.
literally throwing hands.
Yep.
And every time that happens, Kotaro comes over and grabs him by the wrist
Yep.
and starts to, he pulls him off
Yep.
to run laps and says, "Fighto, fighto."
Yep.
Because Kotaro knows that as soon as Tatsuya throws one punch,
He will kick out.
yeah, he's gonna get kicked out, and he's their ace. So
Yep.
they Kotaro has to be like on Tatsuya duty at all
I
times to make sure that their star pitcher, their only hope to progress to the Koshien isn't banned from playing.
Yeah. Well, I actually think that these kids need to learn that because I think at various point Tatsuya mentioned that he a star. Do you want to kick out the ace of the team, the ace pitcher of the team, and
Yeah.
Kashiwaba doesn't really care,
Well, he
and
says, "I don't give a shit."
yeah, and Minami at one point as well, like I think she meant she angrily, I think she frustrated, but she also mentioned that how the baseball team will do without me, and then she when she stopped and see like like all the teams still practice like normal, she kind of realized that as well. So I think
Right.
one of the things that's yeah, I mean, need to learn is that they are just part of the team. They are not something so much special.
Yeah, and Kashiwaba is maybe
A
he's the
reminder, yeah.
yeah, he's a reminder of that. Yeah, maybe he's the tool that's going to be used for them to teach them that lesson.
Yep.
Um,
I don't
yeah,
know if the show will go that seriously, but yeah, I think this is like one of the things that yeah, that's yeah, I think that have mentioned many times that I'm an ace pitcher, so you can't not kick me out, right?
yeah. I mean, it's true that if Tatsuya fights back, he'll get banned.
Yep.
But on the flip side, Kashiwaba is like abusing his students, and
Yep.
there's been no comeuppance. Like
Yep.
there nobody has said anything to anyone.
A lot
Minami
of
does confront the principal, but she doesn't mention anything about the fact that Tatsuya was beaten up. And I mean, she's a smart kid, so I
yep.
assume that she put two and two together
Yep.
and understood who it was that hurt Tatsuya. But she doesn't say anything about it to the
Yep.
principal.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I'm wondering if the reason for that is that if there's some sort of scandal involving student abuse in the baseball team, maybe they'll be disqualified from the Koshien.
Wow. All
Because
right.
that's a big thing. I remember watching another baseball anime called Battery, which I
Yep.
think came out in 2016,
Yep. Yep.
which
Yep.
started off really promisingly and ended up being just a piece of crap. Um, really, one of the biggest nosedives I've ever seen in anime take. It was crazy,
Uh,
and it happened in only 11 episodes too, because it was a Noitamina show.
yep.
But anyway, in Battery, it's not student abuse from an adult, but it is like extreme levels of bullying and hazing going on within the baseball club. And they can't say anything about it because if that scandal comes out, their team will be banned from competition.
That's that's such
So
a stupid approach.
I know it's
To
really
this is
backwards, but I get
yep.
the sense, having watched that show, that that's the way it is in Japan, or the way it was. Like if there's any sort of scandal. I mean, you've read like news articles about a particular member of a band that does like theme songs for anime. He
Yep.
was caught with some weed on him, and as a
Yep. Yep. Yep.
result, they have to replace the theme songs for all the anime that they've like
Yep.
supplied the OP or ED for, because it's such a
That's
big scandal that this guy was caught with some drugs. Like
yep.
it Japan seems to take that sort of stuff really seriously, like any sort of scandal, any sort of like black mark on a person's record or on
Yep.
the record of an organization, like a baseball team. I don't know. I would like to think
That
that there's some sort of reason that Minami doesn't just go, listen, this guy's beating up children.
yep.
You gonna do anything about it,
Yep.
principal?
Even like the kids when they come up to see the old coach,
Right.
they wouldn't have had to say that he was beating up. They were beating up, and
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
there's the gag about him being like, "Oh, stress is the absolute worst thing for my illness."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, of course, that's kind of like a little goofy thing. The show is just creating a little bit of room for itself to maneuver. so that the kids won't just say, yeah, he hit me 4 times in the face and 3 times in the body. This
yeah,
guy's not who you think he is.
yeah.
Um, so that
But
I don't know, like I don't really like the fact that Coach Kashiwaba exists, but
yep,
there's a reason that he
yep,
is like this,
yep.
and the show's
I
gonna explore.
I really hope that he will get likable, more likable later on. For now, though, I think it still be alright. That he pushed he pushed the team, and yeah, and he actually kind of pay attention to Tashiya pitching as well.
Right. There's that particular scene where he's looking at the spike marks
Yep,
in front of the mound, and
yep,
Kotaro comes over and investigates, and he's like, "Oh, it's proof that your control is not quite there yet because you're planting your foot in a different place every time."
yep,
So
yep,
Kashiwa, and that makes sense because Kashiwaba, according to Tatsuya's dad, was a pitcher.
yep,
So he would know that, and I guess that's an important detail that he's a pitcher because he will probably end up contributing to Tatsuya's development as an athlete.
yep.
They have that in common, the position they used to play.
One thing,
If there's any benefit that he can bring, um, you know, I really feel bad saying that because the idea, like the thought of a teacher or a coach being abusive towards the people that the kids that they're in charge of really just kind of upsets me.
yep,
But if there's any benefit that he can bring, like to the story, I guess it would be like straightening out the Meisei baseball team because
yep,
it really is just Tatsuya and Kotaro, like the 1-2 battery pitcher and
yep,
catcher,
yep.
uh,
I
carrying
agree.
the entire team.
I agree on that.
So maybe he can like whip everybody else into shape, like literally whip them into shape. He's got a bamboo sword that he hits people with.
Yep,
Maybe he can train them to be a little bit more disciplined so that they can actually become a Koshien worthy team.
yep, yep. I
I
agree
think
with
that's
you on that.
probably the idea. That's like the reason for his character.
One thing that I don't like about Tatsuya in these episodes, though, first, actually, a lot of things that I don't like about Tatsuya attitude. First, he's the one who appeared late. I think Kashiwaba whack him up the first half for a reason because he already late and he's still like looking at the magazine.
Right.
And second thing is, like with the whole thing happened to Minami, I know that Tatsuya have his head full as well, out of intense practice and like ongoing feud with Kashiwaba, but and even being distracted by Yuka, stay with him all the time, but he needs to spend some time to look into Minami concerns because like Minami is uh
The best.
no like at this point she without purpose,
You
like
think
she
so?
no she have a day off and she doesn't even think of going to the uh to see the team, and she is sad about that, and Tatsuya doesn't realize that
No, he does. They have that
just a bit.
conversation in what is it, episode 58 maybe, where
Yeah,
Minami is like really pissed off. This is after she's confronted the principal and been
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you didn't plan this, did you? Like she's
yeah,
thinking she's so smart. She's thinking even farther than the principal did.
yeah.
And being like, this is all a scheme to get me to permanently join the gymnastics team because you want the publicity and the money.
Yeah.
The principal's like, when she says that, the principal's probably thinking, "Damn, that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
wish I'd thought of that." But she's really mad all throughout that episode. She's irate when she's talking to the principal,
Yeah.
and when she comes home, and she's in the little study room or the hangout. What do they call that little house?
The study room.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is.
Yep.
Well, she confronts Tatsuya and she's like, "What are you gonna do about this?"
Yeah.
Like I was fired basically,
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about it? Like that's wrong. And he's you know he understands where she's coming from, but he is also like been beaten,
Yeah.
and he's also like horribly frustrated.
Yeah.
So they're kind of not communicating at first in that scene, but then when he walks out the door right before he closes it, he says, I'm going to do something about it, but it's going to take me some time.
Yeah.
Like when I'm able to do something about it, I will.
Yeah.
I really liked that scene
Yeah.
because it indicates to me that even though Tatsuya is like terribly frustrated by this situation and he's angry, he hasn't forgotten that Minami has been wronged by Kashiwaba, and he's keeping it in mind. He's going to do something about it, but he doesn't feel like he's in a position to right now.
Yeah.
Anything that he does at this point, Kashiwaba will just run him over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's keeping it, in the back of his mind, and he's going to do something when he's ready. I think that's really interesting way to go about writing this scenario, is
Yep.
that Tatsuya is not rushing to Minami's aid. Because if he were to do that, it might be foolish.
Mhm.
He would just end up making Kashiwaba dig his heels in even farther and discriminate against Minami even more and like create a barrier that prevents her from ever coming back.
Mhm.
I don't think Tatsuya wants that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough. It's
Yeah.
rough for everybody. Well, except for Yuka. I think she's kind of thriving
Yeah.
under
Well,
this new
it's
regiment.
yeah, but it's rough for her as well, as we learned in I think episode 59 that she have a lot of her duty to taking care of as a baseball manager.
I think that's more episode 60, like where they're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
find where all the baseballs are, and somebody's like, fix the butt
yeah,
area of my pants. I don't
yeah,
know. I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
what
yeah,
you
yeah.
call the butt area of the pants, the rear, or the
Yeah.
bottom, whatever.
That they did say that they did say the butt area of my
Yeah, yeah, that's how the subtitles were. They got ripped. In the butt part.
yeah.
I think episode 60 is where she gets all those requests.
Mhm.
Episode 59 is the one where she comes over for dinner. And Minami sees her there, and Minami's already pissed about this entire situation, but so Yuka, scheming to be close to Tatsuya and to prevent Minami from spending time with him
Yeah,
is like salt in the wound. Like
yeah,
she's got the patience of a saint not to just go off on Yuka right then and there in front of God and everyone.
yeah.
Um, you know.
Yeah, there is one scene that I really particularly like. Is a scene where Minami, like angrily storm off to the principal office, and we have like a scene where Harada is in practice, and he says he just kind of look looking at her,
Yeah. Well, you
going,
see his eyes follow her through the
yeah, yeah,
window.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Yeah. And then you see it again in reverse after she
Yeah,
comes back from the principal's office. That's great.
yeah. That's great. That's really great. And actually, I think he talked to Tatsuya about that as well. He teasing Tatsuya about that.
About what?
About oh, I see that you are still doing fine when he in the roof reading
That's
magazine.
right. That's right. Oh, that's interesting because he was reading the magazine when Kashiwaba comes in,
Yep, yep, yep,
and Kashiwaba beats him up for it. Well, not that specifically, but that is present in that scene. And then
yep,
when Harada talks to him on the roof, he's also reading a porno mag. And Harada kind of makes a sarcastic comment about it, like, "Oh, I see that you're not really bothered by this, or you're not really worked up about it."
yep.
It's interesting. Like, I don't. It's not true that Tatsuya isn't taking this seriously, but he's not. He hasn't committed himself completely. Still, I don't think. I think the idea of him, getting caught with those magazines is like to illustrate the fact that he's like preoccupied or distracted or not completely committed to fulfilling his brother's dream.
Mm.
Because I mean, that's always right. That every single moment in Touch, every single episode in Touch is Kazuya and his death and his dream to go to the Koshien and Minami's desire to go there as well, and Tatsuya having inherited those things. That underpins everything about Touch. So I have to imagine that, like, the show putting him in that position where people are criticizing him or, injuring him for doing that and for not like giving it his complete focus and his complete attention. It's probably like some sort of symbol or signal that he still has farther to go.
Yeah. And,
But Harada does go about it much more nicely than Kashiwaba. He just kind of makes fun of Tatsuya for doing it a little bit instead of hitting him 7 times.
Right, that's right. And I also enjoy the ongoing chemistry between Nita and Minami.
Yeah, he comes in episode 60, I guess,
Yeah.
to the diner, and of course Nishimura drops by as well.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think he have a pretty good understanding of Minami's characters, personality. So yeah, I just feel that the scene between them is they have a lot of chemistry to each other.
Yeah. Well, he does have an understanding of Minami, and he has sympathy for her, and he cares for her, and you can make that inference easily because Yuka tells him in episode 59, I think, while she's stretching in his room, here's what's going on at Meisei, and Minami is Coach Kashiwaba is great. He fired Minami.
Yeah.
Nito obviously concerned hearing that, and so he drops by.
Yeah.
To check on her and make sure everything's all right. What a good guy.
Yeah.
He's... But that would concern Nita as well. Like, if not everything is right at Meisei, if something's going on, then he's not going to be able to fight Tatsuya again at his full power. Like, we're talking shonen, I want to fight you at your full strength type of energy coming from Nita as well.
That's right.
And hopefully he does. Hopefully they have that face-off. And Kashiwaba has not destroyed the entire Meisei baseball team. As I can't remember which character it is, but somebody says out loud, like voices the concern that I think it's Minami. Like he's trying to destroy the entire team, or
Yeah, he tried to sabotage. Yeah. I remember someone saying that.
it does feel kind of like he's trying to sabotage the team because when Tatsuya says, "I'm the ace, you can't this team can't win without me," basically is what he's implying. Kashiwaba just says, "I don't care."
Yeah.
Like he's really just there to make life hell
Yeah.
for Tatsuya and everybody else. So it all circles back at this point to like the mystery surrounding his character, because there is an air of mystery, not just in the fact that, like what happened over the last 10 years. There's that gap that the show is going to need to fill in for us to understand his motivations. But there's also like the way that his character is framed in a lot of the scenes where he's in his apartment by the railroad tracks, and he'll be like
In the
drinking
dark.
in the dark. Yeah, he'll be drinking a beer, and the lights of the train are flashing through the windows and like scanning across his face at a really high speed. It kind of reminds me of like film noir a little bit.
Yeah. All characters from Buchibo Phantoms.
Well, no, there would be no lights coming in through the window if it were
True,
Boogie
true.
Pop Phantom.
Yeah.
There's a mystery to his character, just not just what's up with him, but the way he's presented on screen. And that extends even to the sunglasses that he wears. He's keeping himself kind of closed off.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
And he's always dressed in that suit as well, like very formally, like kind of guarded.
Yeah.
Um, So there are things about himself that he doesn't want people to know.
I would love to see that development happen soon. Just because I just can't stand the idea of like he abusing them for the next like 10, 15 episodes.
Yeah, that would be bothersome.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the longer that it goes on, the more pressed Tatsuya will be to try to find some sort of solution, like a way to fight back or some leverage or discover this guy's secret or approach Coach Nishio again,
Yep.
do something, because Minami has made it clear that she's not okay with this scenario.
Yep.
And he's obviously not okay with it either. He doesn't want Yuka to be the manager and like be, I don't know, just
Yep.
messing things up all the time and being annoying.
Yep.
He wants Minami back, man.
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully, we get into some practice match soon, or even to the tournament soon.
Well, there's the promise of baseball, but there's also gymnastics. Like Minami is
Right, that's right.
now that that's the other aspect of these elements and of her role, or that's the other aspect of these episodes, I should say, and her role in them. She's been fired from the baseball team. I mean, not the natural. As you pointed out earlier, we do get that episode where she has a day off from gymnastics practice, and she's like, "Well, I don't know what to do with myself." But in general, I think now that her, the avenue of being a baseball manager has been cut off, she's going to be more and more attracted to the idea of going full time with gymnastics. And they've even introduced a new character.
Yeah.
Even before that new freshman character was introduced and was calling her senpai and being like, "I'm so glad that you've decided to like pursue something for yourself instead of just being a cheerleader on the sidelines for the baseball team."
It makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, well, she does, and you can tell Minami doesn't agree with that line of thinking, but she doesn't criticize the girl for saying it either. Like she just kind of thinks it over.
Yeah.
She doesn't say, "Oh, well, my dream is to go to the Koshien and I just want Tatsuya to win," and blah blah blah. She thinks of it. She listens to what the girl has to say, and then she walks away, and she's kind of processing it still, I guess.
Yeah.
But even before that character was introduced, I don't think we've got her name yet. I don't remember.
No.
But in one of the early episodes in this little batch, let me see here in my notes. It's episode 58. So it's earlier in the school year still, and all the athletic clubs are like recruiting. There's a bunch of people who join or are at least hanging around because Minami is there, and there's a whole like group of girls who all like shout out to her like "Senpai," and she gets a little smile on her face when that happens.
Yep.
Like Minami's pleased to hear that and to recognize that like all of her effort in rhythm gymnastics is paying off. Like people are
Yep.
taking notice. And there are people who want to join the club because she's there. She appreciates that. So I think all of these are signs pointing towards the idea that she's going to get more involved in gymnastics.
Yep. All right. Yep. So I think we have like a pretty busy last 4 episodes with the introduce of a characters who basically just force his way through and
Yeah.
force everyone.
Force his fist into people's faces and his bamboo sword into
Yeah.
people's butt parts of their pants.
Yeah, that's why that's why it's tear apart.
That's right. That's just my own personal headcanon, I guess.
Right. All right. So I think we'll be back for next week. For next 2 weeks with the next 5 batch.
Yep. We'll get up to episode 65, which is about 66% of the way, 2/3 of the way through the story. We got a long way to go.
Yep.
But the story is evolving, so we'll see where it takes us next time.
Cool. All right. We're gonna see you in the next 2 weeks then.
Adios.